This video was made thanks to this awesome request. Thank you for the title suggestion, and happy watching.
Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Curikens. If you're a fan of My Hero Academia, especially awesome fanfiction stories all about Deku, you're definitely in the right place. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your fellow anime fans, and subscribe so you never miss a new upload. Also, if you have an awesome idea or title for the next fanfiction video, drop it in the comment below. I'd love to read your suggestions. And hey, if you want to support the channel even more and keep me extra motivated to create awesome content, consider joining our channel membership. By becoming a member, you'll unlock cool perks like exclusive loyalty badges and custom stickers you can use in the comments. If you've already joined, thank you so much. Your support truly means the world to me and helps keep this channel going. Alright, let's get right into the story.
The morning sun shined brightly over Dagobah beach. Waves rolled against mountains of abandoned trash. Rusted refrigerators, broken cars, old furniture, discarded metal covered almost every corner of the shoreline. Most people avoided the place. One teenager did not. Izuku Midoriya wiped the sweat from his forehead. His body remained small and thin despite months of hard work. He gripped an old tire. One more. He dragged it toward an ever-growing pile. Skirt. The heavy rubber scraped across the sand. Several weeks had passed since All Might challenged him. Clean the entire beach. Prove that he had the determination to become a hero. Izuku accepted without hesitation. Every day he trained alone. Lifting, pulling, running, cleaning. Boom. Another rusted washing machine landed on the junk pile. Izuku breathed heavily. Almost. There. Far away. The tide slowly shifted. Waves carried something unusual onto the shore. A faint crimson glow shimmered beneath layers of seaweed. Izuku noticed it immediately. What's that? He walked toward the strange light. The closer he came, the stronger the glow became. The air itself felt heavier. A warm crimson aura surrounded the object. Carefully, he brushed away the sand. Beneath it rested a perfectly smooth ruby. It was larger than both of his hands. Its surface pulsed like a living heart. Thump, thump, thump. Beautiful, Izuku whispered. The ruby suddenly became brighter. Flash. Crimson symbols slowly appeared across its surface. They rotated endlessly. Ancient, unknown, alive. Izuku reached toward the gemstone. I wonder. The moment his fingers touched it. Boom. A pillar of crimson light erupted into the sky. The beach shook violently. Waves exploded backward. Trees bent beneath the pressure. Birds scattered into the air. Ah! Izuku instinctively stepped back, but it was already too late. The ruby dissolved into countless streams of red energy. Whoom! They rushed directly into his body. What? Crimson energy surged through every muscle, every bone, every nerve. Crack! His body rapidly expanded. His arms became thicker. His shoulders widened. His legs swelled with overwhelming strength. Muscles formed beneath his skin faster than his eyes could follow. Crack, crack, crack. His old training clothes ripped apart. Wind exploded outward. Boom. The sand beneath his feet collapsed. Deep cracks spread across the beach. It hurts, Izuku shouted. The crimson light only intensified. Inside his mind, an ancient voice echoed. Deep, powerful, unfamiliar. You have accepted the Crimson Gem. You are now the avatar of Cyttorak. Become unstoppable. Boom. The final wave of crimson energy erupted. Everything suddenly became quiet. The light slowly disappeared. Izuku stood motionless. His breathing gradually slowed. He looked down. His hands were enormous. Thick fingers clenched instinctively. Veins pulsed beneath powerful muscles. My arms. He touched his chest. Solid muscle. Harder than steel. He looked toward a broken car nearby. Without thinking, he grabbed it. It's heavy. Effortlessly, He lifted the entire vehicle above his head. His shocked voice echoed across the beach. The old car accidentally slipped from his hands. Boom. It landed nearly 50 meters away. Sand exploded upward. The vehicle crumpled like paper. Izuku froze. Through it. He slowly looked toward his own body. He was now over 2 meters tall. His physique resembled an enormous heavyweight champion. Every movement radiated impossible strength. The beach suddenly trembled again. Crimson energy gathered around his body. Whoom. Pieces of glowing metal appeared from thin air. They circled around him. Slowly. Silently. Izuku watched in confusion. Armor. Before the floating metal reached him, the crimson light faded. The mysterious pieces disappeared. Only tiny red particles remained. The ancient voice echoed once more. The first seal has opened. The armor shall awaken soon. Walk forward, and nothing shall stop you. Silence returned. Izuku looked around. The beach had changed completely. A massive crater surrounded the place where he stood. Broken trash lay scattered everywhere. The ocean itself had briefly retreated from the shore. What just happened? Far away, standing atop a nearby cliff, a tall blonde man wearing a yellow suit silently observed the entire event. His glowing eyes reflected the crimson pillar that had pierced the sky moments earlier. He slowly smiled. The gem has finally chosen someone. Without another word, the mysterious figure disappeared into a swirling crimson portal. Whoom. Alone once more, Izuku clenched his gigantic fist. The air around it vibrated. Crack. A faint crimson aura wrapped around his arm before quietly fading away. He had no idea that a forgotten cosmic force had just chosen him as its newest champion. From that day onward, the future hero society would never be the same. The next morning, Dagobah Beach looked completely different. A gigantic crater remained where the crimson light had erupted. Broken vehicles, shattered concrete, twisted steel, everything within dozens of meters had been crushed by the mysterious force. Izuku stood in the middle of the crater. He stared silently at his own reflection in a broken car window. I'm huge. His body had completely transformed. His shoulders had become unbelievably broad. His arms resembled massive pillars of muscle. Every breath carried incredible power. He carefully touched the cracked mirror. Is this really me? The crimson gem had disappeared. Not a single fragment remained. It had completely fused with him. Izuku slowly clenched one fist. Crack. The air itself vibrated. Small stones around his feet bounced into the air. I barely used any strength. He looked toward a rusted shipping container. Let's test it. Walking carefully, he placed one hand against the side of the container. Don't break. He gently pushed. Boom. The massive steel container flew across the beach. It smashed through several piles of scrap before finally stopping. Crack. Izuku's eyes widened. That was gentle. He immediately wrote several notes inside his hero notebook. Observations. Physical strength increased tremendously. Muscle growth appears permanent. Body weight has increased significantly. Unknown crimson energy remains active. Before he could continue writing, his notebook suddenly began glowing. What? Crimson symbols appeared across the pages. They spread like burning ink. Whoom. The same ancient voice echoed once more. Avatar detected. Crimson armor synchronization initiated. A violent pulse erupted from Izuku's chest. Boom. Red energy surrounded his entire body. It spun faster and faster. Floating crimson metal emerged from empty space. One piece formed over his shoulders. Another covered his chest. Massive armored gauntlets wrapped around both arms. Heavy greaves locked onto his legs. Clank, clank, clank. Finally, a gigantic crimson helmet slowly descended from above. Its smooth design covered his entire head. Only two glowing emerald eyes remained visible. The helmet locked into place. Clunk. Izuku instinctively inhaled. Instead of feeling heavier, his body became even stronger. Whoa! He looked down. Thick crimson armor covered him completely. Its surface shimmered with mystical energy. Ancient runes glowed faintly across every plate. He touched the helmet. It feels alive. The armor suddenly responded. Tiny crimson lines illuminated across its surface. Cyttorak armor. Status. Online. Strength amplification. Active. Divine durability. Active. Unstoppable momentum. Locked. Helmet protection. Active. Izuku blinked. What is this? The voice answered. This armor cannot be broken by mortal means. Its power comes from Cyttorak. Walk forward without fear. The glowing text disappeared. Izuku slowly looked toward the largest object nearby. An abandoned fishing boat. It weighed several tons. Let's see. He walked toward it, placed both hands beneath its hull, and lifted. Boom. The enormous ship rose above his head. Water poured from its broken sides. Sand scattered everywhere. I'm holding a ship. Unable to control his excitement, he laughed. This is amazing. Accidentally, he squeezed slightly harder. Crunch. The thick steel hull bent inward like soft aluminum. Large dents covered the vessel. Oops. He immediately lowered it back onto the beach. Just then, a familiar voice echoed nearby. Young man. Izuku turned. All Might stood at the entrance to the beach. His smile slowly disappeared. Midoriya. He stared at the towering teenager standing inside the crater. Then at the crushed fishing boat. Then at the enormous crimson armor. What happened to you? Izuku scratched the back of his helmet awkwardly. I'm not completely sure. All Might carefully approached. Every instinct warned him to remain cautious. The power radiating from the crimson armor felt nothing like a quirk. It felt ancient, overwhelming, impossibly heavy. Can I examine your quirk? Izuku hesitated. I don't think it's a quirk. All Might frowned. What do you mean? Before Izuku could answer, the helmet suddenly dissolved into countless crimson particles. Whoom. The armor disappeared, piece by piece, until only his transformed body remained. All Might stared in disbelief. The armor had vanished without leaving a trace. Materialized equipment, he whispered. No, something completely different. Deep within the crimson dimension, far beyond Earth, an enormous figure opened its glowing eyes. Its laughter echoed endlessly through the void. Ha, ha, ha. My champion grows stronger. Back on Dagobah Beach, Izuku unknowingly clenched his fist once more. A faint crimson aura briefly flickered around his arm, then vanished. Far away, another disaster was already approaching. A living mass of sludge had begun moving toward Musudafu City. The transformation at Dagobah Beach changed everything. Izuku continued training every day. Except now, lifting cars no longer challenged him. He carried abandoned trucks across the beach. He stacked shipping containers with his bare hands. He cleared mountains of scrap in only a few hours. Every movement felt effortless. All Might watched silently from a distance. Even after several days, he still couldn't understand what had happened. That power, it wasn't a quirk. It wasn't support equipment. It was something entirely different. Young Midoriya. All Might approached after another training session. Have you learned to control it? Izuku looked at his massive hands. A little. I'm still afraid of hurting someone. All Might smiled. A hero who worries about that is already on the right path. Izuku smiled back. Later that afternoon, their training ended earlier than usual. Izuku changed into casual clothes and began walking home. Despite hiding beneath loose clothing, his enormous physique still attracted attention. People constantly stared. Whoa, look how huge he is. Is he a pro hero? Izuku awkwardly scratched his head. This is embarrassing. Meanwhile, several blocks away, panic suddenly erupted. Help! Someone stop him. Cars crashed into one another. People fled through the streets. Smoke filled the air. Boom! A gigantic sludge monster burst from a shattered storefront. Its massive body twisted like living mud. Inside it, a blonde teenager struggled desperately. Damn it, Katsuki Bakugo. The sludge villain laughed. Your body will be mine. Bakugo blasted explosions inside the sludge. Boom, boom. They barely slowed the monster. Pro heroes surrounded the area. Death Arms charged first. Boom. His punch disappeared into the sludge. Kamui Woods attempted restraint. Wooden branches wrapped around the villain. Snap. They instantly dissolved. Backdraft sprayed enormous amounts of water. Whoosh. The sludge simply absorbed it. This isn't working. The gathered crowd stepped farther away. Fear spread rapidly. Izuku arrived moments later. His eyes immediately found Bakugo. Kachan. Bakugo's voice became weaker. Someone, move. Izuku instinctively stepped forward. All Might had not yet arrived. The heroes hesitated. They lacked a safe way to rescue the hostage. The ancient voice echoed inside Izuku's mind. Move forward. Nothing shall stop you. Izuku slowly closed his eyes. I have to save him. Crimson energy exploded around his body. Whoom. Pedestrians screamed. The ground shook violently. Crack. Massive crimson armor rapidly formed around Izuku. Shoulders, arms, legs, chest. Clank. Finally, the enormous crimson helmet locked into place. Boom. The surrounding heroes froze. What is that? Who's that kid? The sludge villain laughed. Another child. Come closer. Izuku lowered his body. His armored boots dug deep into the asphalt. The crimson system awakened. Unstoppable momentum. Status. Available. Once activated, forward movement cannot be stopped. Izuku inhaled slowly. Here I go. One step. Boom. The street shattered beneath his foot. Second step. Boom. His speed doubled. Third step. Boom. Every parked car beside him flipped into the air from the shockwave alone. The crimson aura surrounding him became brighter. The sludge villain finally realized something was wrong. Wait. Stop. He launched countless sludge tendrils. Whoosh. They struck Izuku directly. Splat. The sludge instantly burst apart upon impact. None of it slowed him. Not even slightly. Unstoppable momentum. Active. Izuku accelerated again. Boom. The road behind him completely collapsed. Bakugo watched with wide eyes. Deku. The sludge villain desperately enlarged his body. He expanded across the entire street, forming an enormous wall of living sludge. You'll never break through. Izuku didn't slow down. Move. Boom. His shoulder collided directly against the gigantic sludge mass. The impact resembled a speeding train striking wet paper. The villain exploded. Boom. Countless sludge fragments scattered across nearby buildings. Windows shattered. Streetlights collapsed. Every part of the villain separated instantly. Bakugo was thrown safely through the air. Whoosh. Izuku caught him with one massive arm before he struck the ground. You okay? Bakugo stared silently, still coughing, still covered in sludge. What the hell? Before he finished, the scattered sludge attempted to reform. The Crimson System immediately warned. Hostile regeneration detected. Recommended action. Continue forward. Izuku gently placed Bakugo behind several heroes. Stay here. Without turning around, he began walking toward the regenerating sludge. Step, step, step. Every footstep made the ground tremble. The villain desperately tried reforming again. Stay away, monster. Izuku answered calmly. I'm a hero. He swung one armored fist. Boom. The entire sludge body exploded across 3 city blocks. Its core was completely destroyed by the overwhelming mystical force. The remaining sludge lost all movement. Silence. Every pro-hero stared. Death Arms slowly lowered his fists. One punch. Kamui Woods blinked. He defeated it. without a quirk. At that exact moment, a familiar figure landed in the middle of the destroyed street. Boom. All Might looked around. The defeated villain. The rescued Bakugo. The enormous armored teenager standing among the rubble. He slowly smiled. Looks like I was a little late. Izuku scratched the side of his crimson helmet awkwardly. Sorry, I couldn't wait. All Might laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. No, you did exactly what a true hero should do. Far beyond Earth, inside an endless crimson dimension, Cyttorak watched the battle unfold. The cosmic entity slowly smiled. Excellent. My unstoppable champion has taken his first step. Weeks passed after the sludge villain incident. News channels continued talking about the mysterious crimson giant who had defeated the villain with a single charge. The public called him many names. The Red Titan, the Crimson Guardian, the Armored Giant. Only a handful of people knew his real identity. Inside UA, Principal Nezu quietly reviewed several reports. Security footage repeatedly showed the same teenager. An enormous armored figure charging through a living sludge monster. Interesting. Nezu smiled. Very interesting. Elsewhere, Izuku stood outside UA's massive entrance. Thousands of applicants filled the courtyard. Everyone nervously prepared for the entrance examination. That's UA, Izuku whispered. His transformed body attracted countless stares. Although he wore ordinary clothes, his gigantic physique made him tower above almost every applicant. Look at him. He's huge. What kind of quirk does he have? Izuku awkwardly smiled. Sorry. Nearby, Ochako Uraraka accidentally tripped over a loose stone. Ah! Before she could hit the ground, one enormous hand gently caught her. Are you okay? Ochako blinked. Thank you. She looked up, then kept looking up. You're really tall. Izuku laughed nervously. I hear that a lot. Present Mike's energetic voice echoed through the campus. Welcome future heroes. The practical entrance exam begins now. The giant gates slowly opened. Creak. The examination city appeared. Rows of buildings. Wide streets. Hundreds of combat robots. Everything waited silently. Begin. Boom. Every applicant sprinted forward. Explosions. Ice. Electricity. Laser beams. Quirks erupted across the battlefield. Izuku quietly walked into the city. Let's be careful. The crimson voice echoed inside his mind. Move forward. Nothing can stop you. 3 one-point robots charged immediately. Beep. Their mechanical arms swung downward. Izuku simply kept walking. Clang. Their punches shattered against his chest. Metal fragments scattered across the street. What? One applicant shouted. Izuku accidentally bumped into the first robot. Boom. The machine flew through 2 nearby buildings. Oops. Another robot fired missiles. Whoosh. Boom. 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 Explosions surrounded Izuku completely. Smoke filled the street. Students stopped running. Did he survive? The smoke slowly cleared. Izuku remained standing. Not a single scratch marked his body. Sorry. He smiled awkwardly. My turn. Crimson energy erupted. Whoom. His mystical armor materialized instantly. Massive crimson gauntlets. Thick armored boots. Towering shoulder plates. Finally, the gigantic helmet locked into place. Clunk. The crimson system awakened. Cyttorak armor. Online. Unstoppable momentum. Ready. Izuku lowered his body. Here I go. Boom. He began running. Every step shattered the road. Crack. 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 Rows of robots rushed toward him. Dozens. Then hundreds. They never slowed him. Boom. A 2-point robot exploded after colliding with his shoulder. Boom. Another machine shattered beneath his knee. Boom. 5 robots flew into the sky simultaneously. Everywhere Izuku ran, only twisted metal remained behind. Inside the observation room, teachers silently watched dozens of monitors. Smintos folded his arms. He isn't attacking. Midnight nodded. He's just running. Power Loader stared at the destroyed robots. And that's enough. Present Mike laughed loudly. This guy is a demolition machine. Time continued passing. Robots disappeared across entire districts. Izuku never became tired. His momentum only increased. The crimson aura surrounding him grew brighter. Suddenly, warning sirens echoed across the city. Beep, beep. The ground trembled. Boom. A gigantic shadow covered several streets. The zero-pointer emerged. Its enormous mechanical body towered above every building. Students immediately panicked. Run. That's worth 0 points. Get out of there. Everyone fled. Except one person. Izuku quietly looked upward. That's big. Far away. Ochako became trapped beneath collapsing rubble. Crack. Help. A massive concrete slab pinned her leg. The zero-pointer continued approaching. Every step shook the ground. Boom. Boom. Izuku immediately turned toward her. Hold on. The crimson system flashed brightly. Maximum momentum recommended. Target. Zero-pointer. Izuku took one deep breath. Then lowered his body even further. His armored boots sank into the asphalt. Boom. He charged. The road completely collapsed behind him. Buildings trembled. Traffic lights flew into the air. His crimson aura became a blazing comet. The zero-pointer raised one gigantic foot. Before it landed, boom, Izuku crashed directly into its supporting leg. Crack kkkk. The enormous steel limb instantly folded inward. Massive fractures spread throughout the robot. The giant machine lost its balance. Falling. Someone screamed. Boom. The zero-pointer collapsed onto the street. Its upper body smashed through multiple buildings. Metal screamed. Sparks erupted everywhere. Complete silence followed. Izuku calmly walked toward the trapped Ochako. He effortlessly lifted the enormous concrete slab with one hand. Can you stand? Ochako nodded weakly. Why yes. Thank you. Izuku smiled. Let's get out of here. High above the battlefield, every teacher watched silently. All Might slowly smiled. Young Midoriya, you didn't destroy that robot. You simply refused to let it stand in your way. The exam timer echoed throughout the city. Practical examination complete. As students slowly gathered outside the testing grounds, none of them stopped looking toward the towering green-haired teenager whose unstoppable charge had brought down the largest robot in the examination with a single impact. For the first time, many applicants quietly wondered whether they had just witnessed the birth of the strongest future hero. Several days passed after the entrance examination. Every applicant anxiously waited for the results. Izuku continued training alone at Dagobah Beach. The shoreline that had once been buried beneath trash had changed dramatically. Almost everything had been cleaned. The beach looked alive again. All Might stood nearby with his usual smile. Young Midoriya, there's almost nothing left to clean. Izuku scratched the back of his head. Lifting ships became normal. I finished faster than I expected. All Might laughed. Ha ha ha, I can certainly see that. Just then, a familiar envelope appeared in front of Izuku. Whoosh. It hovered in the air before opening by itself. A tiny hologram emerged. Principal Nezu appeared alongside a cheerful present Mike. Congratulations. You've been accepted into UA High. Confetti exploded everywhere. Hop, hop, hop. Izuku smiled widely. I made it, Mom. Later that evening, Inko tightly hugged her enormous son. Tears filled her eyes. I'm so proud of you. Izuku hugged her gently. Despite his incredible strength, his embrace remained careful. Thank you, Mom. 1 week later, the first day at UA finally arrived. Students filled classroom 1A. Everyone quietly looked toward the gigantic green-haired teenager entering through the door. That's him. The guy who destroyed the zero-pointer. Ochako smiled brightly. Good morning. Izuku smiled back. Morning. Bakugo clicked his tongue. Tick, Before anyone could continue, the classroom door slid open. Shota Aizawa walked inside wrapped inside his yellow capture weapon. His tired eyes slowly scanned every student. Put these on. He dropped gym uniforms onto the floor. We're skipping orientation. Follow me. Minutes later, Class 1A gathered on the training field. Aizawa folded his arms. The entrance exam was meaningless. Today I'll judge whether any of you deserve to stay. The students immediately became nervous. Physical aptitude test. Last place risks expulsion. Silence spread across the field. Aizawa handed Izuku a softball. Throw it. Izuku nodded. All right. He casually tossed the ball. Whoosh. Boom. The ball instantly disappeared into the clouds. Every student looked upward. Where did it go? The digital display calculated for several seconds. Distance. Beyond measurable range. Present Mike's voice echoed from the speakers. System overflow. The ball left the tracking zone. Mina blinked. Seriously. The remaining tests continued. 50-meter sprint. Boom. Izuku crossed the finish line before several students had even taken their second step. Standing long jump. He accidentally jumped across the entire training field. Grip strength. Crack. The machine exploded inside his hand. Side jumps. The ground beneath his feet collapsed before the timer finished. Every result exceeded the measuring equipment. Aizawa quietly watched. His expiration never changed. Interesting. He slowly walked toward Izuku. Your quirk. I want to test something. Izuku tilted his head. Okay. Aizawa activated his erasure quirk. His red eyes glowed brightly. His hair floated upward. Whoom. Everyone watched silently. Nothing happened. Izuku remained exactly the same. Huh. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. He increased his concentration. Whoom. Still. Nothing changed. Izuku looked down at himself. Did it work? I feel exactly the same. Aizawa continued staring. His eyes began watering. Impossible. He had erased countless quirks before. Mutation. Emitter. Transformation. Every category responded. This power did not. Activate your armor. Izuku nodded. Crimson armor. Whoom. Red energy exploded around his body. The enormous mystical armor materialized piece by piece. Heavy crimson gauntlets. Massive boots. Towering shoulder plates. Finally, the iconic helmet locked into place. Clunk. A wave of ancient energy spread across the training field. Aizawa never blinked. His erasure remained active. Nothing disappeared. Nothing weakened. Nothing even flickered. The crimson aura remained perfectly stable. Still active. Aizawa slowly lowered his gaze. My quirk. Failed. The ancient voice echoed only inside Izuku's mind. Mortal abilities cannot erase divine authority. The power of Cyttorak exists beyond quirks. The voice disappeared. Bakugo stared silently. He ignored erasure. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. That isn't normal. Momo quietly adjusted her glasses. It's as though his power doesn't originate from his body. All Might watched from the observation room above. He slowly crossed his arms. Exactly as I suspected. Young Midoriya isn't using a quirk. Principal Nezu smiled thoughtfully. Then, what exactly did he inherit? Back on the training field, Aizawa finally deactivated erasure. His eyes returned to normal. Midoriya, whatever your power is, it's unlike anything I've ever encountered. Izuku rubbed the back of his helmet awkwardly. Sorry, I still don't completely understand it either. Before anyone could continue, a faint crimson pulse escaped from beneath the armor. Thump, thump, thump. Far beyond reality, inside the crimson dimension, Cyttorak slowly opened one eye once more. The second seal has opened. The unstoppable momentum grows stronger. A faint smile spread across the cosmic entity's face as he watched his champion take another step toward becoming the unstoppable hero known as Juggernaut. Several days passed after Aizawa's physical assessment. Class 1A gradually became accustomed to life at UA. Combat classes, rescue lessons, strategy lectures. Every day pushed the students closer to becoming heroes. That morning, All Might entered classroom 1A wearing his silver hero costume. "I am here." The classroom immediately became lively. "Today," he smiled proudly, "you'll participate in your first battle trial." The students erupted with excitement. All Might displayed a large screen. Hero team, villain team, capture the bomb, protect the objective. Real heroes don't always fight on open battlefields. Sometimes strategy matters more than power. Lots were drawn. The matchups quickly appeared. Hero team, Izuku Midoriya, Ochako Uraraka. Villain team, Katsuki Bakugo, Tenya Iida. Bakugo slowly smiled. Finally, he stared directly at Izuku. "I've wanted this." Minutes later, everyone gathered inside the monitoring room. Large screens displayed every corridor inside the mock building. President Mike laughed. "This one will be explosive." Midnight nodded. "Are completely one-sided." Inside the villain headquarters, Iida stood beside the fake nuclear weapon. "Our objective is simple." Bakugo cracked his knuckles. "Leave Deku to me. Don't destroy the building." Iida warned. "No promises." Meanwhile, outside the building, Ochako adjusted her gloves. "What's the plan?" Izuku quietly looked toward the concrete structure. "I'll keep Bakugo busy. You secure the bomb." Ochako nodded confidently. "Got it." All Might raised one arm. "Battle, start." Boom. Izuku calmly entered the building. His footsteps echoed through the empty corridors. Step, step, step. Far ahead, small explosions echoed. Boom, boom. Bakugo emerged from the smoke. His palms crackled violently. "Deku, come outside." Izuku stopped walking. "Why?" "Because I'm blowing you through the wall." Boom. Bakugo launched himself forward. His explosion echoed throughout the entire floor. Die. Boom. A massive explosion engulfed Izuku completely. Fire filled the hallway. Concrete shattered. Windows exploded outward. Inside the monitoring room, several students gasped. "That was huge." Midoriya. Smoke slowly spread across the corridor. Bakugo smirked. "Finished." Then, heavy footsteps echoed from inside the smoke. Clunk, clunk, clunk. The smoke slowly parted. Izuku calmly walked forward. His crimson armor remained completely untouched. Not even a scratch appeared. "Bakugo, is that everything?" Silence. Bakugo stared. "Impossible." He immediately unleashed another barrage. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions continuously swallowed Izuku. Fire illuminated the hallway. The entire building shook. Inside the observation room, Hiroshima leaned forward. "He's taking every hit." Momo adjusted her glasses. "His armor isn't even heating up." Todoroki silently watched the monitor. "He isn't defending." The explosions finally stopped. Smoke cleared once again. Izuku still stood exactly where he started. His armor looked exactly the same. The Crimson system quietly displayed a notification. Divine durability. Damage received. 0%. Izuku slowly continued walking. Step, step, step. Bakugo's expiration darkened. "Don't ignore me." He pulled the pin on one of his grenade gauntlets. Click. Compressed nitroglycerin rapidly gathered. The pressure inside the gauntlet skyrocketed. All Might immediately became serious. "Bakugo, don't use maximum output." Too late. Howitzer blast. Boom. An enormous explosion erupted across the building. Walls collapsed. Ceilings cracked. Fire burst through broken windows. Students instinctively shielded their eyes. Whoa, that was insane. Minutes later, the smoke finally settled. Everyone stared. Izuku remained standing, exactly where he had been before. His crimson helmet reflected the remaining flames. His armor carried no dents, no cracks, no scorch marks. Bakugo's breathing became heavy. How are you still standing? Izuku quietly looked at him. Because I'm still moving, the ancient voice echoed inside his mind. Once the avatar advances, nothing shall halt his path. Izuku took another step. Boom. The floor cracked beneath his armored boot. Another step. Boom. Bakugo instinctively stepped backward. Stay away. He launched another explosion. Boom. The blast struck Izuku's chest. Nothing happened. Izuku continued walking. Step, step, step. Bakugo gritted his teeth. Stop. Izuku finally stood directly before him. The match is over. He gently placed one armored hand against Bakugo's shoulder. Move. With one small push. Boom. Bakugo slid backward across the hallway. He crashed into the opposite wall. Crack. The concrete fractured behind him. Yet, Izuku had barely used any strength. Bakugo slowly fell onto one knee. His gauntlets hung uselessly at his sides. I lost. At the same moment, Ochako reached the villain headquarters. Iida had already left to assist Bakugo. The fake nuclear weapon sat unguarded. She pressed the activation switch. Beep. All Might's voice echoed through the speakers. Hero team wins. Applause erupted inside the observation room. Kirishima laughed loudly. He survived every explosion. Mina pointed excitedly. His armor didn't even get dirty. Aizawa quietly watched Izuku remove his crimson helmet. His offense is overwhelming. But his defense, he slowly closed one eye, as almost absolute. As everyone celebrated, far beneath Ua, inside an ancient crimson dimension, another enormous suit of armor slowly emerged from darkness. Its helmet possessed larger horns. Its shoulders were broader. Its crimson aura burned even brighter than before. Cyttorak watched silently. The third seal approaches. My champion has only begun to awaken. Life inside Ua gradually settled into a routine. Combat lessons, rescue exercises, academic classes, strategy training. Each day introduced new challenges. Yet one topic dominated nearly every conversation. Izuku Midoriya, the student whose armor couldn't be damaged. Inside classroom 1A, Kaminari leaned over his desk. Midoriya, seriously, what happens if someone hits you with lightning? Izuku scratched his cheek. I don't know. I've never tried. Mina immediately joined the conversation. What about acid? Or ice? Or fire? Kirishima laughed. Let's just throw everything at him. Bakugo clicked his tongue. Idiots. Before anyone continued, the classroom door opened. Aizawa entered carrying several tablets. Today, you'll participate in a team survival exercise. Everyone became quiet. The objective isn't defeating the enemy. It's protecting your teammates while reaching the extraction point. He displayed a holographic map. A ruined city, collapsed buildings, destroyed highways, burning intersections. Expect multiple simulated attacks. Work together. Minutes later, Class 1A arrived at Training Ground Gamma. The artificial city stretched for kilometers. Damaged skyscrapers surrounded every street. Aizawa divided everyone into groups. Team 1, Izuku, Ochako, Iida, Tsuyu. Team 2, Bakugo, Kirishima, Mina, Shiro. The remaining students formed separate rescue squads. Begin. Warning sirens echoed immediately. Beep. Automated combat drones emerged from nearby buildings. Turrets unfolded along rooftops. Robot cannons locked onto every student. Boom. Energy blasts rained across the streets. Incoming. Iida shouted. Students immediately scattered. Ochako jumped behind a collapsed bus. Tsuyu leapt onto a nearby rooftop. Izuku remained standing. The Crimson System quietly activated. Multiple hostile projectiles detected. Recommended action. Advance. Everyone. Izuku looked toward his teammates. Stay behind me. Crimson energy erupted around him. Whoom. His mystical armor materialized instantly. Clank. The towering crimson giant stepped onto the center of the street. Boom. Laser blasts struck first. Boom. 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 Dozens of explosions covered his armor. Smoke spread everywhere. Inside the observation room, All Might watched carefully. Here it comes. The smoke disappeared. Izuku hadn't moved. Not 1 centimeter. His armor remained flawless. Next, the automated artillery fired. Whoosh. Multiple missiles descended simultaneously. Boom. A chain of explosions engulfed the intersection. Flames reached nearby rooftops. Ochako covered her face. Midoriya. Seconds later, the flames faded. Izuku calmly stood within the burning crater. His armor glowed faintly beneath the fire. The Crimson system updated. Divine durability. Impact resistance. Confirmed. Thermal resistance. Confirmed. Energy resistance. Confirmed. Keep moving. Izuku calmly said. His teammates immediately followed, using his enormous body as cover. More drones appeared. Boom. Heavy machine guns opened fire. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Thousands of bullets struck Izuku's chest. Sparks scattered everywhere. None penetrated. Suyu stared from above. Ribbit. He's literally a walking fortress. Iida adjusted his glasses. Our safest route is directly behind Midoriya. The team continued advancing. Every attack struck Izuku first. Every attack failed. Meanwhile, another section of the training city. Bakugo's team struggled against constant bombardment. Damn it. Boom. He destroyed another drone. Hiroshima hardened his body. Yet several attacks still forced him backward. Mina narrowly dodged incoming missiles. Zero quickly evacuated injured teammates. Bakugo glanced toward another street. There, he saw Izuku's team calmly walking forward. Every projectile harmlessly exploded against crimson armor. Tick. He's doing it again. Inside the observation room, Smintos folded his arms. Look closely. The teachers watched the tactical map. Instead of avoiding danger, enemy fire continuously shifted toward Izuku. Every hostile weapon instinctively targeted the largest threat, which allowed his teammates to advance safely. Midnight smiled. He became the center of the battlefield. Everyone naturally hides behind him. Aizawa nodded. He isn't just durable, he changes how his entire team fights. Back inside the city, a final obstacle appeared. A reinforced steel gate nearly 15 meters tall blocked the extraction route. Its defensive cannons activated. Boom. Boom. Continuous artillery fire covered the street. Ochako looked worried. We can't get through. Izuku quietly walked toward the gate. Leave this to me. The Crimson system displayed another notification. Physical obstruction detected. Recommended solution. Advance. Izuku lowered one shoulder. Everyone, stand back. He began walking. Step. Boom. Another step. Boom. His pace gradually increased. Step. 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 The crimson aura surrounding his armor became brighter. The steel gate fired every remaining cannon. Boom. 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 Every explosion disappeared against his armor. Unstoppable momentum. Izuku whispered. Boom. His shoulder collided directly with the massive gate. Crack KKKK. The enormous steel barrier folded inward. Support beams snapped. Reinforced concrete exploded. The entire gate flew backward into the next city block. Complete silence followed. Izuku calmly looked behind him. The path is open. His teammates smiled. Let's go. They crossed the finish line moments later. All Might smiled proudly from the observation room. He isn't simply the strongest attacker. He's becoming the greatest shield. Aizawa quietly closed his tablet. From now on, every team will naturally build their strategy around him. Deep within the Crimson Dimension, ancient chains wrapped around a colossal crimson throne slowly began cracking. Crack, crack. A deep laugh echoed endlessly. Ha, ha, ha. The fourth seal weakens. Soon, the unstoppable force will reveal even greater power. Several weeks passed after the team survival exercise. Class 1A continued improving under UA's demanding curriculum. Their teamwork became smoother. Their reactions became faster. Their confidence steadily grew. One morning, Aizawa entered the classroom carrying his yellow capture weapon. "Today, we're leaving campus." Mina immediately smiled. "Field trip, rescue training," Aizawa answered. "Change into your hero costumes." Minutes later, Class 1A gathered outside wearing their hero outfits. Izuku stood at the center. His custom hero suit was dark green with reinforced black armor beneath it. The crimson armor of Cyttorak remained hidden unless summoned. Despite the fitted costume, his massive physique still towered over almost everyone. Kirishima grinned. "Your costume looks awesome." Izuku rubbed the back of his neck. "Thanks." All Might arrived beside a large bus. "Today you'll learn rescue operations at the unforeseen simulation joint." The students boarded the bus. During the ride, everyone chatted excitedly. Ochako smiled. What kind of rescue scenarios will they prepare? Iida adjusted his glasses. Whatever it is, we should remain focused. Bakugo simply stared out the window. An hour later, the enormous dome of USJ came into view. Inside, 13 welcomed the students. Rescue work saves more lives than combat. The rescue hero demonstrated various disaster zones. Collapsed cities, flooded districts, burning buildings, industrial accidents. The students listened carefully. Before the lesson could begin, the lights suddenly flickered. Flick, flick, flick. A swirling black mist appeared in the center of the plaza. Whoom. What? The portal expanded rapidly. Dozens, then hundreds, of villains stepped through. Armed criminals surrounded every exit. Tamura Shigaraki slowly walked out of the portal. His pale hand covered his face. Interesting. Kurogiri floated beside him. The students arrived earlier than expected. Aizawa immediately stepped forward. "Everyone, stay back." 13 quickly moved toward the students. "This isn't part of the exercise." The atmosphere instantly became tense. Shigaraki slowly looked around. "Where?" As All Might. Nobody answered. Shigaraki sighed. "That's disappointing." He raised one hand. "Kill them. All of them." Roar. Hundreds of villains charged simultaneously. Weapons, quirks, explosives. Every direction became hostile. Kurogiri suddenly expanded his portal. Whoom. Black mist swallowed the students. "Scatter them." Izuku immediately grabbed Ochako's wrist. "Hold on." Too late. Whoosh. The portal tore everyone apart. Each student disappeared into a different disaster zone. Izuku landed alone in the center plaza. Boom. He immediately rolled onto one knee. Around him, nearly 60 villains slowly closed in. "He's alone. Take him down." One villain launched a barrage of fireballs. Whoosh. Another manipulated steel beams. Crack. Others charged with swords, clubs, chains. Izuku quietly stood. 60. That's manageable. The Crimson system activated. Multiple hostile targets detected. Estimated enemies. Recommended protocol. Momentum charge. Crimson energy erupted across the plaza. Whoom. His mystical armor materialized instantly. Clank. The gigantic crimson helmet locked into place. The surrounding villains hesitated. "What is that?" Izuku lowered his body. His armored boots cracked the concrete beneath them. Unstoppable momentum. "Ready. Let's finish this." Boom. Izuku exploded forward. The ground behind him collapsed instantly. His first collision launched 5 villains into nearby buildings. Boom. Walls shattered. Glass exploded. He never slowed down. Another group attempted to block his path. "Stop him." Boom. They were swept away like bowling pins. Dozens of bodies flew through the air. One giant villain enlarged himself. "I'll crush you." He swung a massive fist. Izuku didn't dodge. Boom. Their collision created a shockwave across the plaza. Crack. The villain's entire arm bent backward. He screamed, "My arm!" Izuku continued running. Another line of villains formed a defensive wall. Ice, stone, steel barriers. Hold him. Boom. Izuku crashed through every obstacle without slowing. Ice exploded. Stone crumbled. Steel folded apart. Inside the observation balcony, Shigaraki silently watched. He isn't stopping. Kurogiri looked equally surprised. Every obstacle simply disappears. The Crimson system updated. Hostiles defeated. Remaining. Izuku's momentum only increased. The crimson aura surrounding his armor burned brighter with every step. The remaining villains began retreating. Run. He's a monster. He can't be stopped. One desperate criminal fired a rocket launcher. Whoosh. Boom. The explosion completely swallowed Izuku. Seconds later, a towering crimson silhouette emerged from the smoke. Completely unharmed. The villain dropped the launcher. No, that's impossible. Izuku calmly looked at him. Give up. I don't want anyone else getting hurt. Instead, the criminal charged in panic. Boom. One shoulder check sent him crashing unconscious into a fountain. The final villain collapsed. The Crimson system displayed its report. Hostiles neutralized. 63 of 63. Injuries sustained. 0%. At that exact moment, a deafening roar echoed from another section of USJ. Roar. The ground shook violently. Shigaraki smiled beneath his hand. Bring him. From the darkness, a towering bioengineered creature slowly walked forward. Its black muscles twitched. Its blank eyes stared directly toward Izuku. Nomu. The Crimson system immediately turned crimson red. Catastrophic threat detected. Combat analysis. Unknown biological weapon. Recommended response. Maximum momentum. Far away. Izuku slowly clenched both armored fists. Then you're next. The central plaza of USJ had fallen silent. 63 villains lay unconscious across the battlefield. Broken concrete. Collapsed walls. Burning debris. Everywhere Izuku had charged, destruction followed. Yet not a single injury marked his crimson armor. Standing beyond the ruined plaza, Shigaraki slowly stepped aside. His hand remained over his face. Go. A gigantic figure walked forward. Boom. 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 Each footstep shook the entire facility. Its black muscles bulged unnaturally. Its expiration remained empty. Its glowing eyes never blinked. Nomu. Izuku quietly looked upward. That's huge. The Crimson system immediately activated. Warning. Enemy classification. Bioengineered weapon. Estimated strength. Extreme. Special ability detected. Shock absorption. Super regeneration. Recommended protocol. Maximum momentum. Nomu suddenly disappeared. Boom. Its fist crashed toward Izuku's head. Bang. The impact echoed throughout USJ. Shockwaves shattered nearby windows. Students watching from distant zones froze. Midoriya. Ochako screamed. Smoke covered the battlefield. Shigaraki smiled. It's over. The smoke slowly drifted away. Izuku remained standing. His feet had sunk deep into the concrete. But his body had not moved. Not even 1 centimeter. The Crimson system displayed a simple result. Damage received. 0%. Nomu tilted its head. Confused. It punched again. Boom. Another shockwave erupted. Then another. Boom. 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 Each punch carried enough force to destroy buildings. Each impact struck Izuku directly. Nothing happened. The crimson armor remained flawless. Izuku calmly looked at Nomu. Are you finished? Nomu roared. Roar. It grabbed Izuku with both hands. Its muscles expanded dramatically. Veins covered its massive arms. It's trying to crush him. Kaminari shouted from another zone. Nomu squeezed harder. Creak. The sound didn't come from Izuku. It came from Nomu's own hands. Crack. The creature's fingers bent backward. Its joints twisted unnaturally. Nomu released him immediately. Shigaraki's smile disappeared. What? Izuku slowly took one step forward. Boom. The ground shattered beneath his boot. The crimson voice echoed inside his mind. Nothing biological can restrain the avatar. Advance. Nomu charged again. This time, using its full speed. Boom. Its shoulder slammed directly into Izuku. A massive shockwave spread across USJ. Water exploded from the nearby flood zone. Buildings trembled violently. When the dust settled, Izuku still hadn't moved. Nomu, however, had stumbled backward several steps. Its shoulder cracked. Crack. Purple blood dripped onto the concrete. Shigaraki whispered. Injured Nomu. Nomu regenerated almost instantly. Its damaged shoulder reformed. The Crimson system updated. Enemy regeneration confirmed. Recommended solution. Continuous momentum. Izuku nodded. Understood. Crimson energy erupted around his armor. Whoom. His aura expanded across the plaza. The air itself became heavier. Unstoppable momentum. Fully activated. Izuku leaned forward. His armored boots dug several meters into the concrete. Move. Boom. He accelerated instantly. The entire plaza collapsed behind him. Nomu charged as well. Roar. Both giants closed the distance within seconds. Boom. Their collision produced an explosion powerful enough to shake the entire USJ dome. Glass rained from the ceiling. Support pillars cracked. Nearby villains were thrown through the air. Nomu gritted its teeth. Its legs dug into the ground. Trying to stop Izuku. It failed. Izuku continued pushing forward. Meter by meter, Nomu slid backward. Crack. The concrete beneath Nomu shattered. Hiroshima stared in disbelief. Being pushed back, Nomu increased its muscle output. Every fiber bulged. Its regeneration struggled to repair the damage caused by the overwhelming pressure. Still, Izuku never slowed. The crimson aura intensified. The ancient voice echoed once again. Once momentum begins, even mountains must yield. Boom. Izuku surged forward one final time. Nomu's feet completely left the ground. Roar. The enormous creature was launched across USJ. It smashed through one building. Boom. Then another. Boom. Then another. Crack. Finally, Nomu crashed into the outer wall of the facility. The reinforced steel barrier bent inward from the impact. The bioengineered monster collapsed beneath the rubble. Complete silence filled the battlefield. Every hero, every student, every villain, stared at the crimson giant standing alone in the center of the destroyed plaza. Shigaraki slowly stepped backward. That shouldn't be possible. At that moment, the massive pile of rubble began shaking. Boom. Boom. Nomu slowly stood again. Its broken bones snapped back into place. Its torn muscles regenerated. Its glowing eyes locked onto Izuku once more. The Crimson system immediately displayed another warning. Enemy regeneration complete. Recommended action. Crimson force output unlocked. New technique available. Crimson overdrive charge. The entire USJ facility trembled. Dust drifted through the shattered plaza. Broken concrete covered every corner. The battle had reached a standstill. Nomu slowly climbed out from the mountain of rubble. Crack. Crack. Its broken bones reformed. Torn muscles stitched themselves back together. Within seconds, the creature stood at full strength once again. Shigaraki smiled beneath the hand covering his face. That's right. Stand up. Kill him. Nomu let out a thunderous roar. Roar. Its muscles swelled far beyond their previous size. Veins bulged across its entire body. The pressure alone shattered nearby windows. The Crimson system immediately analyzed the change. Enemy status updated. Shock absorption. Maximum output. Muscle enhancement. Increased. Combat level. Catastrophic. New ability unlocked. Crimson overdrive charge. Izuku quietly read the notification. Crimson, overdrive. The ancient voice answered. Release the Crimson Force. Become the unstoppable impact. Crimson energy erupted from every part of his armor. Whoom. The entire battlefield became engulfed in red light. His armor grew brighter. Ancient runes ignited across every plate. His helmet emitted a deep crimson glow. The ground beneath him collapsed. Crack. Students watching from a distance instinctively stepped backward. His aura, Ochako whispered. It's getting stronger. All Might narrowed his eyes. That power. It's still increasing. Nomu charged first. Boom. Its gigantic body tore across the plaza. Each step left deep craters. Roar. It swung both fists downward. Boom. Izuku raised one arm. Bang. The impact shook the entire USJ dome. Support beams cracked. Water surged from the flood zone. Air pressure blasted outward in every direction. For a brief moment, both giants remained perfectly still. Then, Nomu pushed harder. Roar. Its muscles expanded again, trying to overpower the crimson armor. Izuku didn't move. You're strong. But not enough. He clenched both fists. Whoom. Crimson force surged throughout his body. The system displayed its final sequence. Crimson Overdrive Charge. Activation. 100%. Objective. Eliminate obstacle. Izuku leaned forward. His boots sank nearly 1 meter into the concrete. Boom. Another step. Boom. Another. Boom. His speed rapidly increased. The crimson aura transformed into a blazing comet. Nomu charged as well. Roar. The distance between them disappeared instantly. Boom. Their second collision produced an explosion visible outside USJ. The gigantic dome trembled violently. Glass shattered across multiple rescue zones. Villains were thrown off their feet. Nomu desperately resisted. Its feet carved deep trenches across the plaza. Its muscles strained. Its regeneration activated continuously. None of it mattered. Izuku continued accelerating. Faster. Stronger. The unstoppable momentum never weakened. Crack. Nomu's left shoulder shattered. Crack. Its ribs collapsed inward. Crack. Its spine bent beneath the overwhelming impact. Roar. The bioengineered monster roared in pain. Shigaraki's eyes widened. Nomu is losing. The crimson voice echoed once more. Nothing survives the unstoppable charge. Advance. Crimson Overdrive. Boom. Izuku exploded forward with his full momentum. His shoulder slammed directly into Nomu's chest. Crack KKKKKKKK. Every bone inside the creature fractured simultaneously. Its shock absorption quirk reached its limit. Its regeneration failed to keep pace with the damage. Nomu became airborne. Whoosh. The gigantic monster blasted through the USJ dome. Steel walls exploded outward. Concrete disintegrated. The creature continued flying across the ocean. Boom. It smashed through a rocky cliff nearly 2 kilometers away. The mountain itself cracked from the impact. Finally, Nomu disappeared beneath the sea. A massive column of water erupted into the sky. Whoom. Complete silence covered USJ. Every hero, every student, every villain, stared toward the enormous hole left in the outer wall. The Crimson System calmly displayed its report. Enemy removed from battlefield. Combat objective complete. Shigaraki slowly stepped backward. His breathing became uneven. He threw Nomu out of USJ. Before anyone could react, a familiar voice echoed across the destroyed facility. I am here. Boom. All Might landed in the center of the battlefield. Wind exploded outward. His eyes immediately found Izuku standing inside the ruined plaza. Then, the massive hole in the USJ wall. Young Midoriya. He slowly smiled. Looks like you've already defeated my toughest opponent. The remaining villains began panicking. Retreat. We can't win. Kurogiri immediately opened multiple warp gates. Whoom. Shigaraki glared at Izuku one final time. This isn't over. The villains disappeared into the swirling portals. Silence returned to USJ. As emergency teams rushed toward the injured, the Crimson system quietly displayed a new notification only Izuku could see. The fourth seal has been broken. Avatar synchronization. 47%. Next evolution available. Crimson Avalanche. The USJ incident shook Hero Society. News of the attack spread throughout Japan. Although the public never learned every detail, rumors spread about one student. A towering green-haired giant wrapped in crimson armor. The student who had thrown Nomu completely out of USJ. Life at UA gradually returned to normal. Security became stricter. Teachers remained more alert. Students trained harder than ever before. Everyone understood one thing. Villains were no longer a distant threat. Several weeks later, the UA Sports Festival finally arrived. The massive stadium overflowed with spectators. Television helicopters circled overhead. Millions of viewers watched from home. President Mike's energetic voice echoed throughout the arena. "Welcome to the UA Sports Festival." Thunderous applause erupted. Class 1A entered through the main gate. Students from every department filled the enormous field. Many spectators immediately noticed Izuku. "That's him. The giant from USJ. Look how big he is." Izuku awkwardly rubbed the back of his neck. Everyone staring. Ochako smiled. "Well, you're hard to miss." Bakugo crossed his arms. "Just don't get in my way." Midnight stepped onto the stage carrying a small box. The first event. The obstacle race. The giant gates slowly opened. Beyond them stretched an enormous course filled with dangers. Collapsed bridges. Deep canyons. Robot graveyards. Minefields. Icy slopes. President Mike laughed loudly. "Only the fastest survive." Students immediately took their starting positions. Izuku quietly observed the course. The Crimson system activated. Course analysis complete. Recommended strategy. Advance directly. Sounds simple. Midnight raised one hand. "Begin." Boom. Hundreds of students sprinted forward. Quirks activated everywhere. Explosions. Ice. Wind. Electricity. The race immediately became chaotic. Izuku calmly started walking. The entrance tunnel quickly became crowded. Students pushed each other. Traffic came to a complete stop. "Move. There's no room." Izuku simply continued forward. Step. Boom. Without forcing anyone aside, his massive frame naturally created an opening. The crowded tunnel cleared before him. Outside, the first obstacle appeared. Dozens of zero-pointer robots blocked the path. Students immediately scattered. "Go around. They're too big." Izuku kept walking. "Excuse me." The crimson aura quietly appeared. Whoom. His mystical armor materialized instantly. Clank. The iconic crimson helmet locked into place. The first zero-pointer swung its gigantic arm downward. Boom. Izuku didn't even raise his hands. Bang. The mechanical arm shattered against his shoulder. Metal fragments scattered everywhere. Sorry. He walked directly through the robot. Crack. The machine split apart from the impact. Another robot blocked his path. Boom. It flew into two others. All three collapsed together. Spectators gasped. He isn't fighting them. He's just walking. Inside the commentator booth, President Mike laughed. He's treating zero-pointers like cardboard boxes. The next obstacle arrived. A massive frozen canyon, created by giant sheets of reinforced ice. Students carefully searched for safe paths. Todoroki immediately unleashed another wave of ice. Whoom. The frozen terrain became even larger. Now nobody gets through. Izuku looked ahead. Then I'll make a path. The Crimson system displayed a familiar notification. Crimson Avalanche. Available. Activate. Crimson energy exploded around his body. Whoom. His aura became denser. His armor glowed brighter. Every step released visible shockwaves. The ancient voice echoed. Become the avalanche. Izuku accelerated. Boom. Step. Boom. Another. Boom. His speed continuously increased. He reached the frozen canyon. Without slowing, he charged directly into it. Boom. The gigantic wall of ice exploded instantly. Millions of frozen fragments flew across the arena. Crack, crack, crack. The entire frozen canyon collapsed beneath his unstoppable momentum. A perfectly straight path stretched across the battlefield. Students behind him stared in disbelief. He made a highway. Hiroshima laughed loudly. That's awesome. Todoroki silently watched the shattered ice. He broke all of it. Just by running. The third obstacle appeared. A massive minefield. Thousands of explosive mines covered the ground. Students carefully avoided every step. Izuku didn't stop. Boom. The first mine exploded beneath his foot. Boom. Another. Boom. Another. Continuous explosions echoed across the stadium. Dust completely covered him. Spectators could no longer see the Crimson Giant. Did he make it? The smoke suddenly burst apart. Whoom. Izuku calmly emerged. His armor remained flawless. Every explosion had failed to leave even the smallest mark. The Crimson system quietly updated. Environmental hazards ignored. Finish line. 320 meters. Izuku leaned forward. Almost there. Boom. His final charge shook the entire stadium. The ground cracked beneath every step. His crimson aura resembled a blazing meteor. Seconds later, he crossed the finish line. Beep. The stadium fell completely silent. Then, thunderous applause erupted. First place. Midoriya. He destroyed every obstacle. He never changed direction. All Might smiled proudly from the VIP section. That's exactly like him. Principal Nezu quietly adjusted his tie. The race wasn't about avoiding obstacles. It was about overcoming them. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious private viewing room, a tall blonde man wearing a golden suit silently watched the replay. His eyes glowed crimson. Excellent. The avatar continues to grow. He slowly smiled before disappearing into another crimson portal. Far away, inside the crimson dimension, enormous chains surrounding a colossal gate snapped one after another. Crack, crack, crack. The laughter of Cyttorak echoed across the endless void. The fifth seal approaches. The obstacle race concluded with Izuku taking first place. His unstoppable charge through zero-pointers, frozen cliffs, and explosive minefields became the highlight of the entire festival. Television stations replayed the footage repeatedly. Commentators struggled to find words. The second event, the cavalry battle, also ended with Izuku's overwhelming victory. Few teams even attempted to steal his headband. Those who tried quickly realized charging a walking fortress was impossible. Now, the tournament finals had begun. One by one, students advanced through the brackets. Cheers echoed throughout the packed stadium. President Mike's energetic voice boomed through the speakers. Our next match, Izuku Midoriya versus Shoto Todoroki. The audience erupted into excitement. This is the one. The giant versus the prodigy. Who wins? Both students stepped into the arena. They quietly faced each other. Midnight raised one arm. Begin. Boom. The battle started instantly. Todoroki slammed one hand onto the ground. Whoom. An enormous glacier erupted toward Izuku. Towering walls of ice spread across the arena. They climbed into the sky. Spectators gasped. It's even bigger than before. He's trying to finish it immediately. The frozen wave reached Izuku. The Crimson system activated. Environmental hazard detected. Ice obstruction. Recommended response. Advance. Izuku nodded. All right. Crimson energy surrounded his body. Whoom. The crimson armor materialized instantly. Clank. The massive helmet locked into place. Without hesitation, Izuku began walking. Step. Boom. His armored boot landed against the frozen wall. Crack. Another step. Boom. The enormous glacier began fracturing. Crack, crack, crack. Spectators watched in disbelief. He's walking through it. Izuku continued moving forward. Every step shattered another section of ice. Massive frozen pillars collapsed around him. None slowed his advance. Todoroki's eyes widened. He broke through. He immediately switched tactics. Flames erupted across his left side. Whoosh! A torrent of fire rushed toward Izuku. Heat distorted the air. The arena floor melted. Boom! Fire completely engulfed the Crimson Giant. Inside the commentator booth, Present Mike shouted, "Direct hit! Can fire finally stop him?" The flames slowly faded. Izuku calmly stepped forward. His crimson armor glowed faintly. Not a single scorch mark appeared. The Crimson System displayed another report. Thermal resistance confirmed. Damage received 0%. Todoroki slowly exhaled. Then, I'll use both. Ice exploded from his right side. Fire surged from his left. The two elements merged into a devastating storm. Whoom! The arena disappeared beneath fire and ice. Violent wind swept through the stadium. Izuku lowered his shoulders. The ancient voice echoed once more. The path remains ahead. Continue advancing. Crimson avalanche. Boom! Izuku accelerated. Every step shattered frozen barriers. Every stride scattered blazing flames. The combined elemental storm collapsed around him. Crack! Boom! Spectators rose from their seats. He's breaking everything. Nothing is stopping him. Todoroki increased his output again. His body began trembling from the strain. Ice covered nearly the entire arena. Fire burned even brighter. Still, Izuku continued walking. Step, boom, step, boom, step, boom. The distance between them rapidly disappeared. Why? Todoroki whispered. Why won't you stop? Izuku finally stood only a few meters away. He looked directly at Todoroki. Because heroes keep moving, and you don't need to hold yourself back. Todoroki remained silent. Izuku continued calmly. Your fire, it's yours, not anyone else's. Those simple words struck harder than any punch. Todoroki remembered his mother's smile. He remembered his childhood. He remembered every moment he had rejected half of himself. His fists slowly tightened. You're right. Orange flames erupted across his left side once more. This time, without hesitation. Whoom! The stadium exploded with cheers. He's using it. Todoroki finally used his fire. Endeavor stood from his seat. His eyes widened. Shoto. Todoroki smiled slightly. Thank you. He unleashed his strongest attack. Fire and ice combined into one enormous blast. Boom! The explosion covered the arena. Heat and frost spread in every direction. The audience shielded their faces. When the smoke finally cleared, Izuku still stood at the center. His armor remained completely intact. However, instead of advancing, he had stopped. Todoroki stared at him. Why? Izuku slowly removed his crimson helmet. You already won. Not against me. Against yourself. The entire stadium fell silent. Midnight looked between both students. After several seconds, she raised one arm. The winner. Izuku Midoriya. Thunderous applause erupted throughout the arena. Todoroki slowly smiled. Next time, I'll make you move. Izuku laughed softly. I'll be waiting. High above the stadium, the Crimson System quietly displayed another notification. Avatar synchronization. 58%. The fifth seal has been broken. Next evolution available. Crimson Impact. The UA Sports Festival came to an end. Students returned to their normal classes. However, the tournament had changed everything. Pro heroes across Japan had witnessed the strength of Class 1A. Internship offers flooded UA. Inside Classroom 1A, Midnight placed a large stack of papers onto Aizawa's desk. These are your internship requests. Students immediately became excited. Really? How many did I get? Present Mike grinned. The sports festival did its job. Izawa calmly began reading the numbers. Yaoyorozu, 24. Tokiyami, 36. Todoroki, 4123. The classroom erupted. What? That's insane. Izawa continued. Midoriya. He looked down once more. 5698. Complete silence. Then, everyone shouted. Even more than Todoroki. Seriously. Kirishima laughed loudly. That's awesome. Bakugo clicked his tongue. Tick. Izuku awkwardly smiled. That's a lot. Later that afternoon, Izuku carefully looked through every recommendation. Many agencies wanted his overwhelming strength. Others wanted his defensive abilities. Some simply wanted the hero who defeated Nomu. One recommendation caught his attention. Manual Hero Agency, Hosu City. Manual. All Might nodded. He specializes in rescue work. Your strength would be valuable there. Izuku smiled. Then I'll go. 3 days later, Izuku arrived in Hosu City. The streets were crowded. Hero patrols moved constantly. Emergency vehicles crossed busy intersections. Manual greeted him with a friendly smile. Welcome. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Izuku bowed politely. Thank you for accepting me. Manual laughed. Don't worry. We'll focus on rescue operations first. The internship quickly began. Izuku assisted during flood evacuations. He lifted collapsed vehicles, stabilized damaged buildings, rescued trapped civilians. His enormous strength solved problems that normally required several heroes. One evening, after finishing another patrol, Manual received an emergency call. Multiple villain sightings. District 7. Manual immediately stood. Let's move. Before they reached the scene, another transmission arrived. Hero Killer Stain has appeared. Manual's expiration changed instantly. Stain. Izuku looked toward him. Who is he? Manual answered while running. The most dangerous serial killer targeting heroes. Don't engage alone. Minutes later, they reached the area. The streets were strangely quiet. Streetlights flickered. Rain slowly began falling. Drip, drip, drip. Manual looked around carefully. Something isn't right. The Crimson system suddenly activated. Hostile presence detected. Unknown hostile. Extreme threat. Secondary target detected. Tenya Iida. Status. Moving rapidly. Izuku stopped. Iida. Manual looked surprised. One of your classmates. The system expanded a glowing crimson map. Multiple streets appeared. One flashing marker moved deeper into the city. Another remained stationary. The stationary marker pulsed red. Danger. Izuku's eyes narrowed. He's chasing Stain. Manual immediately understood. That's revenge. We have to stop him. Izuku nodded. I know where he is. Manual blinked. How? Izuku quietly pointed toward the glowing map only he could see. This way. They sprinted through narrow streets. Across rooftops. Between abandoned warehouses. The Crimson system continuously updated. Distance. 800 meters. 500 meters. 300 meters. 100 meters. Then, a metallic sound echoed through the alley. Clang. Followed by another. Crack. Someone cried out in pain. Ah! Izuku immediately accelerated. Boom. His powerful legs launched him across the rooftops. He landed directly beside the alley. There, Tenya Iida knelt on the ground. His arm bled heavily. His glasses had fallen beside him. Standing before him, a man wrapped in blood-stained cloth calmly held a sword. His crimson eyes never blinked. Hero Killer Stain. Stain slowly turned his head. Another hero. His gaze shifted toward Izuku's enormous frame. Interesting. Manual quickly arrived behind Izuku. Don't rush in. Stain smiled faintly. Another fool seeking justice. The Crimson system flashed. Hostile identified. Hero Killer Stain. Combat style. Extreme agility. Precision swordsmanship. Blood-based paralysis. Recommended action. Close distance immediately. Izuku slowly stepped into the alley. Boom. His footsteps echoed through the rain. Stain tightened his grip on the sword. Come, show me whether your conviction is genuine. Rain continued falling between the two fighters. The narrow alley became completely silent. The battle for Hosu City was about to begin. Rain continued falling over Hosu City. Drip, drip, drip. The narrow alley remained silent. Broken pipes leaked water across the cracked pavement. Tenya Iida knelt against the wall, unable to continue fighting. Manuel stood several meters behind Izuku, watching every movement carefully. Standing opposite them, hero killer Stain slowly raised his sword. Another hero. Stain's cold voice echoed through the alley. Show me your conviction. Izuku stepped forward. His massive frame nearly blocked the entire passage. I'm not here to debate. I'm here to stop you. Stain smiled faintly. Good. Whoosh. He disappeared. His speed became a blur. Manuel's eyes widened. Fast. Stain suddenly appeared behind Izuku. Slash. His sword descended toward Izuku's neck. Clang. Sparks exploded through the alley. The blade struck the side of Izuku's helmet. The mystical crimson helmet didn't move. It didn't crack. It didn't even gain a scratch. Instead, crack. Stain's sword snapped cleanly in half. The broken tip spun through the air before embedding itself into a nearby wall. Complete silence. Stain stared at the broken weapon. My sword broke. Izuku slowly turned around. That was a good swing. My turn. Stain immediately leapt backward. Whoosh. He pulled several combat knives from beneath his cloak. Steel fails. Then I'll use another weapon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 knives shot toward Izuku's face. Clang, clang, clang. Every knife shattered against the crimson helmet. Tiny metal fragments scattered across the alley. The crimson system quietly displayed a notification. Helmet integrity, 100%. Mental interference resistance, active. Fear resistance, active. Stain narrowed his eyes. Interesting. He rushed forward again. Slash. His remaining blade struck Izuku's shoulder. Clang. Another shower of sparks erupted. The blade bent dramatically before breaking apart. Crack. Only the handle remained inside Stain's hand. Manuel blinked. He broke another one. Iida stared in disbelief. His armor. It's indestructible. Stain immediately abandoned his broken weapon. Instead, he darted around Izuku at incredible speed. Whoosh. He aimed precise strikes toward every possible weak point. The elbows. The knees. The neck. The joints. Slash. Clang. Slash. Clang. Slash. Clang. Every attack produced the same result. Sparks. Broken blades. Perfect crimson armor. Izuku calmly followed Stain's movements. He barely needed to move. You're looking for weak points. There aren't any. Stain suddenly appeared directly before Izuku. Their eyes met. Heroes depend too much on strength. His crimson eyes locked onto Izuku. His killing intent exploded across the alley. Whoom. Ordinary criminals would have frozen instantly. Many pro-heroes had hesitated beneath that terrifying gaze. Izuku simply looked back. His crimson helmet slowly began glowing. Deep crimson light illuminated the narrow alley. Ancient runes ignited across the visor. The voice of Cyttorak echoed through Izuku's mind. The Avatar knows no fear. No mortal may shake him. An overwhelming mystical pressure spread outward. Boom. The surrounding walls trembled. Rainwater rippled across the ground. For the first time, Stain instinctively stepped backward. What is this pressure? He had fought countless heroes. None had possessed such an ancient presence. It felt less like facing a person, and more like standing before an unstoppable mountain. The Crimson System updated. Helmet ability. Psychological resistance. Confirmed. Enemy intimidation. Ineffective. Stain's expiration finally changed. A single bead of sweat rolled down his face. Your mind cannot be shaken. Without warning, he lunged toward Iida instead. Then I'll kill the weak one. Whoosh. Before Stain reached him, Izuku took one step. Boom. The ground exploded beneath his boot. He instantly appeared between Stain and Iida. Stain's fist struck Izuku's chest. Bang. The impact echoed throughout the alley. Stain cried out in pain. Ah! His knuckles split open. Blood dripped onto the pavement. He stared at his own injured hand. My bones. They cracked. Izuku remained completely still. You're done. Stain gritted his teeth. Instead of retreating, he smiled. Excellent. This is what a true wall should be. He lowered his stance one final time. Show me whether even you can stop my resolve. The crimson system flashed brightly. Enemy preparing final assault. Recommended response. Physical restraint. Izuku slowly opened one enormous hand. His crimson gauntlet tightened with a deep metallic rumble. Then come. I'll end this with one move. Rain continued pouring over Hosu City. Drip, drip, drip. The narrow alley had become a battlefield. Broken blades littered the ground. Cracked walls surrounded the combatants. Hero Killer Stain stood in a low stance. His breathing had become heavier. Every weapon he possessed had been destroyed. Yet his determination remained unchanged. Izuku stood several meters away. His crimson armor gleamed beneath the falling rain. His massive helmet faced directly toward Stain. Not a single scratch covered the divine armor. Manuel remained beside the injured Iida. Don't move. He treated Iida's wounds while watching the confrontation. The crimson system flashed. Hostile preparing final assault. Combat probability. 100%. Recommended action. Absolute restraint. Stain slowly smiled. One final exchange. Show me your resolve. Whoosh. He exploded forward. His speed exceeded anything he had shown before. His body became nothing more than a blur. Manuel's eyes widened. He's faster. Stain darted around Izuku. Left, right, behind, above, searching for even the smallest opening. Die. He drove the broken remains of his sword toward the gap beneath Izuku's arm. Clang. Sparks erupted. The broken steel shattered into tiny fragments. Crack. Stain immediately changed direction. He aimed a punch toward Izuku's visor. Bang. Pain shot through Stain's arm. His wrist bent unnaturally. Ah. He refused to stop. Using the momentum, he spun into a powerful kick aimed at Izuku's helmet. Boom. The kick landed. The alley shook. Dust fell from nearby rooftops. Izuku remained standing. His head hadn't even turned. Stain landed several meters away. His right leg trembled. Small fractures spread through the bones in his foot. Impossible. The crimson voice echoed inside Izuku's mind. The avatar cannot be broken. The avatar cannot be moved. Advance. Izuku slowly began walking. Step. Boom. Another step. Boom. The ground cracked beneath every footfall. The pressure inside the alley steadily increased. Stain steadied his breathing. Then I'll keep fighting. He rushed forward again. Whoosh. He attempted another feint. Then another. Then another. Izuku calmly watched every movement. Enough. He extended one enormous crimson gauntlet. Stain slipped beneath it. Too slow. He smirked. Until Izuku's arm suddenly changed direction. Far faster than Stain expected. Whoosh. The massive hand closed around Stain's torso. Thud. Stain's eyes widened. What? His arms became trapped. His legs kicked wildly. He couldn't escape the crushing grip. Manuel stared. He caught him. With one hand. Stain struggled with all his strength. His muscles bulged. Veins covered his neck. Let go. Izuku calmly tightened his grip. Not enough to injure. Just enough to stop every movement. Creak. Stain could no longer move his arms. His legs hung uselessly. The Crimson system updated. Hostile restrained. Escape probability 0%. Stain looked directly into Izuku's glowing helmet. Finish it. Izuku silently nodded. I will. Instead of throwing him, instead of punching him, Izuku simply raised one enormous arm. Then, boom, he slammed Stain straight downward. The ground exploded. Concrete shattered in every direction. A circular crater spread beneath them. Dust and broken asphalt filled the alley. When the smoke cleared, Stain lay unconscious inside the crater. His body remained intact, but the overwhelming impact had completely knocked him out. Silence filled the alley. Manuel slowly lowered his hands. Hero killer Stain, defeated. Iida stared at Izuku, his eyes filled with guilt. Midoriya, I endangered everyone. Izuku dismissed the crimson helmet. The armor around his face dissolved into crimson particles. You're my friend. Friends save each other. Iida lowered his head. Thank you. Moments later, sirens echoed throughout Hosu City. Weo, Weo. Multiple pro heroes rushed into the alley. Endeavor, Grand Tory number, Native, and several police officers quickly surrounded the area. They immediately noticed the unconscious serial killer. Then the enormous crater. Then Izuku standing calmly at its center. Endeavor crossed his arms. So, you were the one who stopped him. Manuel nodded. Stain never stood a chance. Police officers quickly placed specialized restraints on Stain. Despite remaining unconscious, they used every available precaution. As the ambulance treated Iida, the Crimson system quietly displayed another notification. Hero killer Stain defeated. Avatar synchronization 66%. The sixth seal has weakened. Next battlefield detected. Forest training camp. Far beyond reality. Inside the endless crimson dimension. Another colossal gate slowly opened. Ancient crimson energy poured into the void. The laughter of Cyttorak echoed across countless worlds. My champion. The day approaches when nothing on earth will be able to stand before you. Summer arrived at Ua. After the Hosu incident, security around the school became stricter than ever. Despite the increased protection, training never stopped. Class 1A prepared for their annual forest training camp. Everyone knew stronger villains would eventually return. They had to become stronger first. Early that morning, 2 buses departed from Ua. Students laughed during the trip. Mina played games with Kaminari. Hiroshima challenged Sato to an arm wrestling contest. Even Bakugo remained unusually quiet. Izuku sat beside Ochako near the window. His enormous frame barely fit inside the seat. Ochako laughed softly. You really need a bigger bus. Izuku smiled awkwardly. Probably. Hours later, the buses stopped deep within the mountains. The enormous forest stretched endlessly beneath a bright blue sky. Birds chirped peacefully. Cool wind passed through the trees. Waiting at the entrance, stood the wild pussycats. Pixie Bob waved excitedly. Welcome. Mandalay smiled. Your training starts now. Before anyone could relax, Pixie Bob slammed both hands onto the ground. Boom. The earth split apart. Hundreds of giant mud beasts emerged from the forest floor. Reached the lodge before sunset. Survive. The monsters immediately charged. Run. Students scattered into the forest. Izuku calmly walked forward. One mud beast swung an enormous fist. Boom. Its punch struck Izuku's chest. Splat. The creature exploded into wet earth. Sorry. Izuku continued walking. Another 5 beasts attacked together. Boom. 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 They crashed into him simultaneously. None managed to push him backward. Instead, their bodies crumbled apart. Hiroshima laughed. He doesn't even need to fight. Hours later, Class 1A finally reached the forest lodge. Everyone collapsed from exhaustion, except Izuku. You aren't tired? Mina asked. Not really. That evening, students began intensive training. Each person focused on improving their quirks. Izuku practiced controlling the Crimson Force. Instead of increasing power, he focused on precision. Every movement became smoother. Every step became quieter. Yet the overwhelming strength remained. Deep within the forest, unknown eyes watched the camp. There, found them. The Vanguard Action Squad had arrived. Night slowly covered the mountains. The forest became silent. Suddenly, the Crimson System activated. Warning. Multiple hostile signatures detected. Estimated enemies. Recommended action. Intercept. Izuku immediately stood. Villains. Before anyone could react, an enormous explosion echoed through the forest. Boom. Trees collapsed. Flames spread rapidly. Students shouted from every direction. Enemy attack. Villains. Dabi calmly walked between burning trees. Blue flames consumed everything nearby. Whoosh. Spinner and Magna charged through the smoke. Mr. Compress trapped several pro-heroes inside glowing marbles. Chaos instantly spread throughout the camp. Then, a gigantic figure emerged from the darkness. Muscles covered nearly every part of his body. His grin stretched from ear to ear. Muscular. Finally, he laughed. Someone strong. His eyes immediately locked onto Izuku. You, fight me. Izuku calmly stepped forward. Everyone, fall back. The students immediately retreated. Only Izuku remained standing between Muscular and the camp. Muscular cracked his neck. Don't die too quickly. His muscles rapidly expanded. Layers of muscle fibers wrapped around both arms. They became enormous. Veins bulged violently. Full power. Roar. He launched himself forward. The ground exploded beneath his feet. Boom. His gigantic fist flew directly toward Izuku's chest. Manuel's earlier warning echoed inside Izuku's mind. Never underestimate overwhelming force. Izuku didn't dodge. He simply stood still. The crimson armor materialized instantly. Whoom. Clank. The helmet locked into place. Muscular's punch landed. Boom. The shockwave flattened nearby trees. Branches snapped apart. Dust filled the forest. Seconds later, a loud cracking sound echoed. Crack KKKK. Muscular suddenly screamed. Ag. His right arm bent unnaturally. Bones shattered beneath his own punch. The protective muscle fibers tore apart. Blood dripped onto the ground. My arm. He staggered backward in disbelief. What are you made of? The smoke slowly cleared. Izuku remained standing exactly where he had been. His crimson armor hadn't moved. Not 1 centimeter. Not a single scratch appeared across its surface. The Crimson System quietly displayed its report. Damage received. 0%. Enemy skeletal damage detected. Right arm. Multiple fractures. Muscular stared at his swollen, broken arm. His confident grin had completely vanished. Izuku slowly took 1 step forward. Boom. Your strongest punch. Hurt only yourself. Muscular instinctively stepped backward for the first time in years. Far away, Dabi watched the scene through the burning forest. Interesting. He broke Muscular. Without attacking. The crimson aura surrounding Izuku slowly intensified. The forest itself seemed to tremble beneath each approaching step. The Crimson System displayed a new notification. Enemy morale collapsing. Recommended action. Continue advancing. The forest training camp ended in chaos. Although Izuku had stopped Muscular, the League of Villains still accomplished its mission. Katsuki Bakugo had been kidnapped. News spread throughout Japan overnight. Television stations continuously replayed the burning forest. Public confidence in heroes declined once again. Inside UA, Class 1A sat in complete silence. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke. Kirishima finally slammed his fist onto the desk. We're bringing him back. Iida immediately stood. That's against direct orders. The heroes are already handling it. Bakugo's empty chair remained untouched. Izuku quietly stared at it. We can't leave him. Yaoyorozu slowly placed a small device onto the desk. The tracking transmitter I secretly placed on one of the nomu. It's still active. A small red dot appeared on the screen. Location: Kamino Ward. Silence filled the classroom. Later that evening, Izuku, Hiroshima, Todoroki, Iida, Yaoyorozu, and Ochako quietly gathered outside the dormitories. "Everyone ready?" Hiroshima asked. They all nodded. Meanwhile, far across the city, inside an abandoned warehouse, Bakugo sat tied to a chair. "Untie me." Shigaraki ignored him. "You'll eventually understand. Heroes failed you." Bakugo glared back. "Shut up." Outside, the rescue team arrived. They quietly observed the building from a nearby rooftop. Yaoyorozu pointed toward the warehouse. "That's the place." Todoroki looked around. "Too many exits." Izuku calmly stepped forward. "Leave the entrance to me." The Crimson System activated. Mission analysis. Hostage rescue. Enemy headquarters. Recommended protocol. Direct breach. Izuku smiled slightly. Simple enough. The others immediately understood what that meant. Hiroshima laughed nervously. "There goes the front door." Izuku walked toward the warehouse. Each step echoed through the empty street. Step. Boom. Step. Boom. Inside the warehouse, Spinner frowned. "Did you hear that?" Mr. Compress adjusted his mask. Footsteps. Another step echoed. Boom. The entire building vibrated. Dust fell from the ceiling. Dabi slowly looked toward the entrance. "He's here." Outside, Izuku lowered his shoulders. The crimson armor materialized around him. Whoom. Clank. The massive helmet locked into place. Crimson energy surrounded his entire body. The system displayed a familiar notification. Unstoppable momentum. Ready. Objective. Reach hostage. Obstacles. Irrelevant. The ancient voice echoed. Advance. Izuku leaned forward. Boom. He accelerated instantly. The road behind him collapsed. Streetlights bent from the shockwave. Inside, Spinner shouted. "Incoming." Too late. Boom. Izuku crashed directly through the outer wall. Reinforced concrete exploded into thousands of pieces. Steel beams twisted apart. The entire front section of the warehouse collapsed inward. Dust engulfed everything. Villains were thrown across the room. Mr. Compress smashed into a pillar. Boom. Spinner rolled across the floor. Crack. Twice his clones instantly disappeared beneath falling debris. Bakugo looked toward the enormous hole in the wall. Deku. The smoke slowly cleared. A towering crimson figure walked through the rubble. Chunks of concrete slid harmlessly from his armor. His glowing emerald eyes scanned the room. "Found you." Shigaraki stepped forward. His fingers twitched beneath the hand covering his face. "You always ruin everything." Izuku calmly continued walking. "Move." Dabi immediately fired a torrent of blue flames. Whoosh. The inferno completely swallowed Izuku. Fire spread throughout the ruined warehouse. Seconds later, the flames parted. Izuku continued walking through them. His armor glowed faintly. Not a single scorch mark appeared. "Seriously," Dabi muttered. Spinner charged with his oversized sword. "Stop him." Slash. The blade struck Izuku's shoulder. Clang. The sword shattered into several pieces. Crack. Spinner stumbled backward. Again, Mr. Compress threw several marbles. Whoosh. They struck Izuku's chest. Hop. Every marble bounced harmlessly onto the floor without activating. The overwhelming mystical aura disrupted their capture mechanism. Mr. Compress stared. "My quirk failed." Izuku never slowed. Step. Boom. Step. Boom. Each footstep shook the warehouse. Support beams snapped one after another. Crack. The ceiling began collapsing. Bakugo laughed. "You idiot. You're bringing the whole building down." Izuku smiled beneath his helmet. "That's the idea." The Crimson System updated. Structural integrity. 8%. Building collapse. Imminent. Recommended action. Continue advancing. Before Izuku reached Bakugo, a violent pressure suddenly swept across the warehouse. Whoom. Every villain immediately stopped moving. Even Shigaraki instinctively stepped backward. A calm voice echoed from outside. What a noisy entrance. The remaining walls exploded apart. Boom. A tall man wearing a black suit slowly walked through the dust. Tubes connected to a mechanical life support mask covered his face. Countless stolen quirks radiated from his body. All for one. The Crimson system instantly turned blood red. Catastrophic threat detected. Combat level. Maximum. Prepare for direct confrontation. The ruined warehouse stood on the verge of collapse. Broken steel beams hung from the ceiling. Fires burned across shattered concrete. Dust slowly drifted through the air. Every villain stared toward the entrance. The overwhelming pressure filling the building came from a single man. All for one. Izuku slowly turned to face him. The crimson helmet reflected the glowing life support mask. The Crimson system immediately expanded across his vision. Enemy identified. All for one. Multiple quirks detected. Combat level. Maximum. Recommended protocol. Full defense. All for one calmly observed Izuku. Interesting. So you're the boy who defeated Nomu. Izuku stepped in front of Bakugo. Leave. I won't let you touch anyone. All for one chuckled. Such confidence. Let us see whether it survives. He slowly raised one hand. Countless air currents gathered together. Lightning danced between invisible forces. Compressed pressure distorted the atmosphere. Air cannon. Boom. An enormous blast of compressed air exploded across the warehouse. Walls collapsed instantly. The concrete floor shattered. Everything in its path was torn apart. Hiroshima instinctively shielded his face. Wattock out. The attack slammed directly into Izuku. Bang. A deafening shockwave swept through Kami number. Nearby buildings trembled. Windows shattered across several city blocks. Dust completely engulfed the battlefield. All for one quietly waited. Even mountains crumble. The smoke slowly drifted away. Izuku still stood exactly where he had been. His crimson armor remained flawless. His feet had sunk deeply into the broken concrete. But he hadn't moved even a single centimeter. The Crimson system displayed its report. Damage received. 0%. Kinetic resistance. Confirmed. All for one's visible eye narrowed. Remarkable. Without another word, he unleashed several quirks simultaneously. Black tendrils erupted forward. Whoosh. Giant stone spikes burst from beneath the ground. Crack. Streams of burning fire twisted together with razor-sharp wind blades. Whoom. The combined attack swallowed Izuku completely. Boom. The entire warehouse disappeared beneath explosions. Outside, nearby heroes arriving at Kamino saw the blast rising into the night sky. Gran Torino stopped on a rooftop. That pressure. All for one. Back inside, the smoke slowly cleared once again. Izuku calmly walked forward. His armor remained untouched. Every attack had vanished against the mystical protection granted by Cyttorak. Step. Boom. Step. Boom. All for one watched silently. Your durability doesn't belong to a quirk. Izuku continued advancing. You're right, it doesn't. All for one smiled beneath his mask. How fascinating. Then perhaps I'll simply remove the source. He extended one gloved hand. Dark energy spiraled around his fingers. Quirk theft. Black tendrils surged toward Izuku. Whoom. They wrapped around his crimson armor. Dark energy attempted to invade his body. For several seconds, nothing happened. The crimson gem hidden deep within Izuku's soul suddenly began glowing. Whoom. Ancient crimson light erupted from every part of the armor. Mystical runes spread across the gauntlets. The helmet, the chest, the ground itself cracked beneath the overwhelming power. Inside Izuku's mind, the voice of Cyttorak thundered across the crimson dimension. None shall steal the power of my avatar. None. Boom. A massive wave of crimson force exploded outward. The black tendrils instantly disintegrated. The backlash surged directly into All for One. For the first time, All for One staggered backward. His arm trembled violently. The quirk theft had completely failed. The Crimson system displayed another notification. Foreign ability rejected. Divine authority confirmed. The avatar cannot be altered. The avatar cannot be stolen. All for One slowly lowered his arm. Impossible. My quirk was rejected. Shigaraki stared in disbelief. Master. All for One remained silent. His gaze never left Izuku. That power belongs to something far older than humanity. Izuku calmly stopped several meters away. This ends here. Far outside the warehouse, a familiar voice echoed across kamino. I am here. Boom. All Might landed on the ruined street. Wind exploded outward. His eyes immediately locked onto All for One. It's been a long time. All for One smiled. Indeed. The two ancient rivals faced one another once more. Between them stood Izuku in his crimson armor. The Crimson system quietly displayed its newest notification. Avatar synchronization. 74%. The seventh seal has been broken. New technique unlocked. Crimson overdrive charge. Maximum output. The decisive battle for Kamino had finally begun. Night covered kamino. The ruined warehouse had completely collapsed. Fires burned across the broken streets. Pro-heroes surrounded the area. Police evacuated nearby civilians. Every eye focused on three figures standing at the center of the battlefield. All Might. All for One. Izuku. A powerful wind swept across the city. Whoom. All for One calmly looked between All Might and Izuku. Two symbols standing together. How troublesome. All Might stepped forward. Young Midoriya. Protect the students. Izuku slowly shook his head. I'll help. All Might smiled. Then don't fall behind. All for One raised both hands. Dark energy gathered around him. Countless stolen quirks activated simultaneously. The atmosphere became unstable. Boom. Gigantic pillars of stone erupted from the streets. Walls of fire surrounded the battlefield. Lightning crashed from the sky. Compressed air twisted into destructive tornadoes. Whoom. The combined assault surged toward both heroes. All Might leapt first. Boom. His fist shattered one tornado. Izuku walked directly into the remaining attacks. Boom. Fire exploded across his armor. Boom. Lightning struck his helmet. Boom. Stone pillars collapsed against his chest. None of them slowed him. The Crimson system displayed another report. Damage received. 0%. All for One narrowed his eye. Still, nothing works. He extended his right arm once more. Then I'll erase you myself. Multiple enhancement quirks activated together. His right arm rapidly expanded. Black armor covered his fist. Crimson lightning wrapped around the gigantic limb. Whoom. Gran Torino looked horrified. Everyone get back. That attack destroyed entire city blocks before. All for One smiled coldly. Vanishing impact. Boom. His enormous fist rocketed toward Izuku. The air itself exploded. The road beneath the attack completely disappeared. Izuku quietly stood still. The crimson voice echoed inside his mind. Release everything. Become the avalanche. The Crimson system flashed brilliantly. Crimson overdrive charge. Maximum output available. Activate. Yes. Whoom. Crimson energy erupted from every part of the armor. The streets cracked apart. Buildings trembled. The night sky turned crimson. Ancient runes blazed across every plate of armor. All Might stopped moving. Young Midoriya. That power. Izuku lowered his shoulders. His helmet pointed directly toward All for One. Step. Boom. Another. Boom. His pace increased. Step. Boom. Step. Boom. Every stride accelerated faster than the last. The crimson aura transformed into a blazing comet. The streets shattered beneath his feet. The ancient voice thundered once again. Nothing shall stop the Avatar. Crimson overdrive charge. Boom. Izuku exploded forward. His acceleration created a massive shockwave. Cars flipped into the air. Streetlights bent sideways. Windows shattered across nearby buildings. All for One's gigantic fist met Izuku's shoulder. Bang! The collision lit the entire district. A crimson shockwave erupted across kamino. Heroes struggled to remain standing. Villains were thrown off their feet. All for One gritted his teeth. Impossible. He poured every enhancement quirk into the attack. His gigantic arm expanded even further. Izuku never slowed. Meter by meter, All for One's arm bent backward. Crack. Bones fractured. Crack. The armored fist shattered. All for One's expiration finally changed. My arm. The crimson aura continued growing. Boom. Izuku drove straight through the remaining attack. His shoulder slammed into All for One's chest. Crack KKKKKKKK. The villain's defensive quirks collapsed one after another. Compressed air dispersed. Force fields shattered. Shock absorption failed. Enhancement quirks buckled beneath the overwhelming mystical momentum. All for One's body blasted backward. Whoosh. He crashed through one skyscraper. Boom. Then another. Boom. Then another. Crack. The final impact carved a massive trench through several city blocks before his body finally stopped. Dust filled the skyline. The entire district fell silent. Every hero stared toward the distant crater. Endeavor slowly lowered his arm. He overpowered All for One. Gran Torino smiled. That wasn't merely strength. That was an unstoppable force. Izuku slowly came to a stop. His crimson armor radiated ancient light. Small crimson particles drifted into the night air. The crimson system displayed its final report. Primary target defeated. Enemy combat capability critically reduced. All Might looked toward the distant crater. Then toward Izuku. A proud smile appeared across his face. You've become an incredible hero. Far inside the crater, All for One slowly attempted to stand. His armor was shattered. His right arm hung uselessly. His breathing became ragged. Yet, he laughed quietly. Ha, ha, magnificent. Cyttorak, so your champion has finally awakened. The Crimson System quietly displayed one final notification before fading. Avatar synchronization. 92%. Final seal unlocked. Title acquired. The Unstoppable Hero. Sirens echoed throughout kamino. Weo, weo. Emergency vehicles flooded every street. The smoke from the battle slowly disappeared into the night sky. The enormous trench carved through the city stood as proof of the final collision. All for One lay inside the distant crater. His armor had been destroyed. His stolen quirks had become unstable. His body refused to obey him. For the first time in decades, the king of villains had been defeated. Police officers cautiously surrounded the crater. Special restraint units quickly secured All for One. Multiple quirk suppression devices were attached to his arms and legs. Even then, every officer remained nervous. All for One quietly laughed. Ha, even chains cannot bind destiny. Tsukauchi looked toward the officers. Move him carefully. The villain was finally taken away. The greatest criminal in Japan had fallen. Back on the ruined battlefield, All Might slowly approached Izuku. The symbol of peace looked exhausted. His muscular form flickered. Steam escaped from his body. Young Midoriya. Izuku dismissed his crimson helmet. Crimson particles drifted into the air. All Might. Without warning, All Might smiled. Then, he raised one fist high into the night sky. Victory. The surrounding heroes immediately erupted into cheers. We won. All for One is defeated. It's over. Hiroshima laughed loudly. That's our classmate. Ochako smiled with tears in her eyes. He really did it. Iida adjusted his glasses. As expected of Midoriya, Bakugo folded his arms. A small grin appeared before disappearing just as quickly. Tick. Don't get cocky. The next morning, every television station across Japan broadcast the same headline. The fall of All for One. Another image appeared. It showed a gigantic green-haired hero standing inside crimson armor. Behind him stretched the destroyed streets of Kamino. News reporters spoke excitedly. The mysterious young hero who fought beside All Might. His overwhelming durability shocked the nation. Experts have begun calling him the unstoppable hero. Inside UA, students gathered around the television. Class 1A watched quietly. Mina laughed. Look, Midoriya's everywhere. Kaminari grinned. You're famous now. Izuku immediately became embarrassed. Please stop. Principal Nezu entered the classroom carrying several newspapers. Congratulations. Hero Society has officially recognized your actions at Kamino. He handed one newspaper to Izuku. Printed across the front page stood a single title, The Unstoppable Hero, Juggernaut. The classroom became completely silent. Hiroshima smiled proudly. It fits. Todoroki nodded once. No one else could wear that name. Later that afternoon, All Might called Izuku onto the rooftop. Warm sunlight shone over the peaceful city. Construction crews had already begun repairing Kamino. Life slowly returned to normal. All Might stood beside the railing. Young Midoriya, Hero Society has changed. He looked toward the skyline. People once believed only quirks could create symbols. You proved otherwise. Izuku quietly listened. Your power comes from something beyond this world. But you chose to protect people with it. Izuku smiled softly. That's all I ever wanted. All Might laughed. And that's exactly why you'll become an incredible hero. Far beyond reality. Inside the endless crimson dimension. The final ancient chain shattered. Crack KKKK. The colossal throne of Cyttorak stood completely revealed. The cosmic deity slowly rose. His crimson eyes looked across countless universes. He smiled. The final seal has broken. My champion has mastered the crimson force. None shall halt his advance. A beam of crimson light descended toward Earth. For a brief moment, Izuku looked toward the sky. His crimson gem glowed warmly beneath his chest. The crimson system appeared one final time. Avatar synchronization. 100%. Divine authority confirmed. All abilities unlocked. Unstoppable momentum. Mastered. Crimson force. Mastered. Crimson avalanche. Mastered. Crimson overdrive charge. Mastered. Title confirmed. The Unstoppable Hero. Juggernaut. The crimson screen slowly faded. High above Japan, clouds parted. Golden sunlight illuminated the recovering nation. People smiled once again. Children pointed toward heroes flying across the sky. Hope had returned. And standing at the center of that new era was a young man with green hair, an unbreakable will, and the blessing of an ancient cosmic power. Izuku Midoriya had become the hero no force could stop. The unstoppable hero. Juggernaut.